So as a lot of you probably know, David Bowie passed away this week.
As a lot of you probably don't know, David Bowie is her favorite artist of all time.
He's done so much for music and so much for film and theater, and I mean, the man was wild.
He was wild.
So we decided to, in honor of David Bowie, we were going to do a book tag based off of some of our favorite David Bowie songs.
And we had a lot of fun.
Oh man, this was so much fun.
So here is our David Bowie book tag, guys. Modern Love, a contemporary romance. We chose Fangirl.
We don't read a lot of contemporary romances. It's not really our genre. But there was something so cute and sweet about Fangirl that stuck with me.
I mean, you know, she's in university, but she's never really had a relationship before, and there's this guy who's interested in her. She doesn't know how to take it. She's not quite confident with herself, and it just turns into this very sweet, kind of supportive relationship.
Ziggy Stardust, or your favorite sci-fi book, and we chose Illumini.
We read this book, we did a review of it, and we loved the crap out of it. It is everything you could ever want in a space epic. And if you haven't read this book, check it out. It's gotta be my favorite sci-fi book of all time. Scary Monsters, and this is a supernatural book that terrified you. On our list, we have The Haunting of Elizabeth Cray by Chris Wooding.
To this day, I can't look over my shoulder more than 3 times if I'm walking down the street alone after dark. And there's this creepy monster called the Scarecrow.
He's a supernatural serial killer. The first one I have ever encountered. I've been afraid of serial killers ever since. Looks like a scarecrow, drives around in a coach, murders people.
If you haven't read this book, definitely check it out. A solid, like, period horror novel. Loving the Alien, your favorite paranormal romance pairing, and we chose Magnus and Alec from The Mortal Instruments because I love them.
They make her heart do funny things.
It's because Magnus is so sweet and funny, and Alec is like the straight man, and I'm a sucker for that relationship.
Plus, Magnus has been around for hundreds and hundreds of years, so he has an experience under his belt. But when he's with Alec, it's like the first romance, and it's all sweet. And,
Slow Burn, a book that started slow but had an amazing ending, and we chose The Golden Compass or His Dark Materials because I know you had a hard time getting into it, and then once you read it, it was like your favorite. And I was the same way.
It starts really slow, like 100 pages, 150 pages, but by the time you get to the end,
you are hooked.
And it is so smart and clever and epic.
And it makes you think about things, and reading it as a kid, it definitely made me think about a lot of things. Changed my life.
It did. Absolute Beginners, the debut novel that rocked your world. And we chose Lies of Locke Lamora. And I'm sure you've heard us ranting about this book, but this is the epitome of the most perfect novel I've ever read in my life.
See, it started out a little bit slow for me, but once I was hooked, like, it took me about 40 pages, and then I was like...
You were sold.
I was sold, and I was just, like, biting my nails, and I wanted everything to work out, and I loved Locke, and I loved Jean, I liked Carlo, and Galdo, and Bug, and just everyone. I loved them. They felt like my squad.
They were your squad. And I feel like this book is like Athena, where she just sprang out of somebody's head fully formed. Scott Lynch, I hate you. Please write more.
I'm Afraid of Americans, a book that doesn't take place in America, and we cheated and chose The Martian.
It does not take place in America. We did not cheat. This is our list. Ha!
Okay, so there's a little bit that takes place in America, but the majority of this book takes place on Mars.
Yeah!
It's a real place.
Yes, it is a real place, Alexandra.
If you haven't read The Martian, you should totally check it out. It's a lot of fun. It's really funny, and it's a good, like, science fiction book.
Let's Dance, a book that makes you unreasonably happy.
And we chose Carry On Simon.
Because we recently read this book, and we were both unreasonably happy.
It's so cute. I'm like Baz and Simon, and their romance gave me butterflies, and I don't normally really like romance, but the entire time I was just like, come on!
For people who hate romance, there's a lot of romance on this list. Dance Magic Dance, and if you thought it was going to be a fantasy book, you're wrong! It is the most quotable book you know. And we chose The Princess Bride. Everybody who has ever said, inconceivable! I mean, like, I do not think you know what this word means.
Or As You Wish, or
my name is Inigo Montoya.
You killed my father. Prepare to die. You can't stop true love. You can only delay it for a while. So if you haven't read The Princess Bride, it's definitely worth checking out. It's a little bit different from the movie, but they're both awesome. Little Wonder, a book that surprised you, and we chose Kingdom of Little Wounds because this book
We were never more surprised than this book.
This book surprised us in many different ways.
We were like, oh look, a fairy tale about syphilis. And it just kept getting more and more surprising.
And it was surprising in a good way too.
There's nothing more beautifully written than this book, but it is a ride, my friend, a ride. Check out our review if you want to see how much of a ride this is, and we also talked to Susan Kogel, but that is on the internet. Stanton Vision is our favorite adaptation, and that is Lord of the Rings.
Like, the Lord of the Rings trilogy is, like, solid. Like...
Not The Hobbit.
Not The Hobbit.
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. Hobbit is no. The Lord of the Rings, to me, kind of spoke to the idea of adaptation where you take the soul of the thing and then you, like, create the soul, because it is a lot different from the books, but I think it captures the heart of the story, and that's what's important in the end.
Favorite adaptation, Lord of the Rings.
Where are we now? The sequel to a book that you loved more than the first book in the series, and we chose Shadow Fever by Karen Marie Moning instead of the very first book. I think it's called Faith Fever. And the reason we chose this was because the writing style in this book has definitely improved.
You know the characters and you know the story, and it's wrapping up, so you feel like everything is coming to a conclusion.
And there are consequences.
Actual consequences. What? The series is super addicting, so it's not to say that the first book is bad, it is just not as good as the last book. Oh, you pretty things. Or your favorite cover of any book on your shelf. That's right, it can't be any book ever, just the ones on your shelf. We chose The Diviners.
The first cover.
Not the second cover.
The first one with the eye and, like, the beautiful, like, patterned, like, oh, it's so beautiful.
It is, it's so classy. It's evocative of the 1920s, which is when the book is set. And, you know, it gives you that inkling of supernaturalness that just runs throughout the entire series.
And you see it, and you just want to read it. Like, it's eye-catching.
Yeah, and you just want to sit on your shelf and look at it all the time. Maybe wake up to it in the morning. I don't know. This song is Heroes, and for this one, our category is your favorite badass protagonist.
So we chose all of the Rat Queens.
These ladies are the most badass, sassy, potty-mouthed, amazing heroes of all time. They're so quirky.
You want them to be your best friends. They feel like they are your best friends.
From page 1, these ladies are the epitome of girl power without being girl power.
Andy Warhol, or a book that inspired you, and we chose Afterworlds, because after reading Afterworlds, all I wanted was to be an author.
Oh my gosh, Darcy was so living the life that I wanted to live.
She was living the dream.
She dropped her life, moved to New York City to write her second novel. Her first novel gets published and goes to BIA. God, if that's not the dream, I don't know what is. And this book totally inspired me to sit down and write a novel, which has not yet appeared.
You're ahead of me, buddy. All right, last question. Chelsey, what is your favorite David Bowie song?
Let's Dance! I don't know about this song, but it's so, like, laid back, but you just want to dance to it, pretend you're in the 70s, like you're dancing down a street, and it's just a block party everywhere. Now, Alexandra, your favorite David Bowie song?
Modern Love. I don't know, it's just upbeat, but at the same time it's got this kind of dark edge to it, because what he's thinking about is kind of depressing, because, you know, being afraid of modern love and being afraid of love, but at the same time it's so catchy and upbeat and you just want to dance to it too. David Bowie.
We're sorry to see you go. So, in this book tag, we would like to tag Lizzie Books,
StoryNet,
and Magic of Books.
And if you're interested in doing this tag, please do the tag, link us so we can see it and we can comment, because
David
Bowie!
Thanks for watching, guys. We had so much fun doing this tag, and we will see you later.